In the first part, we plotted the WSPS diagram. In the second part, we looked at the first scenario. Now we want to look at the next scenario and see its effects in the WSPS model. So so we're looking at B part 2. It says the government intervenes to protect domestic firms from foreign competition. So we have lower competition. Now lower competition would mean higher market power. You're able to charge more because there are no competitors to force your prices down. Able to charge more, which means your markup increases. And this implies a decrease in the real wage, implies a decrease in real wage offered by firms. As we know, the PS curve represents the rate which firms are willing to pay, which is W by P is equal to 1 by 1 plus M. So here we can see as markup increases. On the right hand side, there's a decrease in the real wage firms are willing to pay. And this we know causes the PS to shift down. As we already talked about, when the PS curve shifts due to changes in markup, and this change in markup can happen either due to changes in competition or changes in non-wage cost of funds. We'll move on to that in the next part. Here, the change in markup was because of lower competition, which allowed you to charge more. And as markup goes up, PS shifts down. Now let's look at this graphically. For that, let's just look at that. So if I want to look at this graphically, so here we already have the graph that we plotted. So let's just look at this. So here, if I want to look at this graphically, so the idea is that A represents your initial equilibrium, which is at the intersection of our weight setting and price setting curve. Now, as M increases, we talked about PS will shift down. So our PS curve will shift down. So this is PS prime, and we know it represents the rate wage firms are willing to pay. The rate wage they're willing to pay has gone down. So our PS curve has shifted down. Right, so this is what has happened. So as PS shifts down, now the new equilibrium would be A prime, which would be at the intersection of unchanged WS and new PS because the markup affects the PS and not the WS in this model. So this is A prime at the intersection of the new PS and new WS, and as you can see, UN increases here. So the new A prime represents the new equilibrium where UN increases. So this was for this part. Now let's move back and let's look at the next part. Clear all. So let's go back to the question. Here we were. So the next part says that higher social security contribution paid by employers. You want to look at the effect of this in the WSPS model. Now, so part 3 means a higher social security contribution. Security contribution. So now what this will do is this will increase non-wage cost of firms. So firms will respond by increasing markup. So M increases. So implies decrease in, again, this implies when markup increases, this implies a decrease in the real wage offered by firms because there's an increase in price given the nominal wage, so real wage falls. Implies decrease in real wage offered by firms. Because we know, like we said, the PS curve shows us the real wage firms are willing to pay. W by P is 1 by 1 plus 9. Here as m increases on the right hand side, the rate which they're willing to pay goes down, and this will cause the PS curve to shift down. And as we saw, this causes UN to increase, as we saw, right? So it's the same figure as B. Same thing as the second part, sorry, B second part. So from B second and third part, we're seeing that changes in markup shift the price setting curve, and this change in markup can be due to changes in competition, which influences the market power, or they can be due to changes in non-wage cost of firms. Either way, the markup could change and shift the PS curve. So now let's look at part four. So it says a reduction in the proportion of employees covered by union wage agreements. So this will have the same effect that we discussed in A, where workers in first part. In C first part, B first part, the same effect as B first part, where we talked about how there'll be decrease in workers' bargaining power for any given unemployment rate. So they'll be willing to accept low wages, WS will shift down, and UN will decrease. Now, part five is the government decides to abolish the Department of Justice, thereby eliminating all enforcement of antitrust laws. Here we need to just note first that antitrust laws are regulations which encourage competition. So you're eliminating all those enforcement of these laws which encourage competition. So this means there'll be lower competition and hence more market power. Thus, this firms will be able to charge more, and thus markup will increase. PS will shift down, and UN will increase. So again, same effect as V2. So the crux here that is that the price setting curve shifts because of changes in markup, and these could be due to changes in non-wage cost of firms or due to changes in competition. The WS curve shifts because of basically changes in Z, which includes factors that affect workers' bargaining power for a given unemployment rate. There are different factors that can affect your bargaining power, like we saw over here. Uh, the level of unionization. It could be like minimum wages. It could be worker protection laws, and it could be like unemployment insurance, and so all these factors that affect the bargaining power for given you causes the cash or variable Z to change, which causes the wage setting curve to shift.